We have been discussing about the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, Lord Narasimhadev, Hiranyakashipu, and many other things. And now that section is over. Now a different section is going to begin. The remaining 5 chapters talks about very important aspect of our bhakti. Though all of us are practicing bhakti, which is consisting of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, etc. But in order to practice bhakti properly, we need to take shelter of Varnasrama system. So that is very much essential. Without the help and support of Varna system, it is very difficult to practice bhakti. So, what is that Varna system? How how this categorization of 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas has been indicated, and what are some of the important duties of these Varnashrama system are briefly presented in the last 5 chapters of this Canto 7. So, we'll be discussing now these 5 chapters. So, first in the 11th chapter, it talks about the duties of 4 Varanas. Then the remaining 4 chapters talks about the duties of 4 ashramas. Because Varna duties are straightforward, so they are spoken in one chapter. So ashrama duties requires great attention. So that's why they are elaborately explained in the upcoming 4 chapters. Especially the Brahmana, no, Brahmachari, Sannyasi, Varna, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi are described in one and a half chapter, something like that. But about Grihastha, 2 to 2.5 chapters are explained because majority of people whom we see are Grihasthas. So there is a lot of things they keep doing. There should be a lot of attention should be given to their details of activities. So in that way, so 2 to 2.5 chapters are talking about Grihastha duties alone. So that is given more attention. So in that way. So now, in the last 10 chapters, the pure inclinations arising from devotion to the Lord have been described. So the last 10 chapters directly are ended and talks about pure devotee. How a pure devotee should conduct oneself. How a pure devotee responds to the adversities and difficulties by the example of Prahlad Maharaj has been described in the last 10 chapters. Now, in 5 chapters, the excellence of Varnashrama for material sustenance is explained. So, Bhakti is to go back home back to Godhead, and Varnashrama is for our sustenance as long as we are living in this world. That is the main aspect of Varnashrama. In the 11th chapter, to start with, in the 11th chapter, Narada Muni describes the duties of normal Varnas such as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and also the duties of women. So, the duties of men in these Varnas and the duties of women in these 4 Varnas, they are being described. And also the duties of mixed Varnas. So, sometimes because of some unavoidable circumstances, there is mixed Varnas in some places. So, what are their duties? That is also being described. So, of the 10 topics, Atra Sarga Visargascha Stanam Poshanamutaya Manvantareshanukata Nirodho Muktirashraya. So, there is something called as Uti after Sarga, Visarga, Stanam, Poshana. After these 4 topics, the fifth topic is Uti. Uti means the inclinations, the inspiration or inclination one gets to practice or stick to one kind of lifestyle. What inspires a person to be like that? That is called uti or inclination. So till now, The inclination to remain a pure devotee has been described in the last 10 chapters by describing Prahlad Maharaj. Now, in these 5 chapters, what are the inclinations or what inspires one to continue as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi? That will be explained now in these 5 chapters. So, this is like a whole canto consisting of 15 chapters. We have seen that how the inauspicious inclination arising from anger of the demons. See, somebody's anger causes someone to become a demon. That we have seen how the 4 Kumaras became angry and cursed Jaya Vijaya. As a result, they became demons with anger toward the Lord. That we have seen. Then auspicious inclination results in the birth of devotees by the mercy of great devotees. Like the mercy shown by Narada Muni results in the birth of Prahlad Maharaj with favorable characteristics. So, in that way, the first part of the 7th canto, the last 10 chapters, talks about these 2 things. How anger of some devotees results in the birth of a demon with inauspicious inclinations. And the mercy of a devotee results in the birth of a great devotee with auspicious inclinations. That means favorable mental disposition. So, in that way, we can say. So, that has been described. So, there we have seen the glories of Shuddha Bhaktas we have seen in the first 10 chapters. Now, the remaining 5 chapters talks about Mishra Bhaktas. So, mixed devotees. So, that means the pure devotees have no contamination of karma or jnana. Mixed devotees have some mixture of karma and jnana. And also persons who follow karma, jnana and ashtanga yoga with little bit bhakti. So all these people are described in the remaining 5 chapters. In the first 10 chapters, there is a discussion about pure devotee and pure demon. How a pure devotee conducts himself, how a completely atheistic demon conducts himself. The examples of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu we have seen. And in between these 2 people, there are different category of people are there. Some of them are mixed devotees. Some of them are karmis, jnanis, and yogis. They follow karma, jnana, yoga mixed with little bhakti. Some are bhaktas who follow their bhakti mixed with karma, jnana, yoga. And some of them are karmis, jnanis, and yogis. They follow karma, jnana, yoga mixed with little bhakti. So all these 6 category of people are described now in the upcoming 5 chapters. Because they need some support of Varnasrama. So in that Varnasrama we have karma, jnana, yoga, all these things. So they also practice bhakti or they use bhakti in order to accomplish their karma, jnana, yoga. In either case, so the Varnasrama is acting as a basis for all of them. So that will be read now in the 5 chapters. So previous 10 chapters we have seen the pure bhakti of Prahlad is explained. Now mixed bhakti with a minor or major element of karma, jnana and also yoga attained through a guru of similar bhakti. Because Prahlad became pure devotee because he has taken shelter of a pure devotee in Narada Muni. Similarly, if somebody takes shelter of a mixed guru, a guru of mixed bhakti, one will become a mixed bhakta. If somebody takes shelter of a guru who practices karma yoga, one becomes karma yogi. If they take shelter of a master guru who practices jnana yoga, they also become jnana yogis. If somebody takes the shelter of a ashtanga yogi, a guru who is ashtanga yogi, they will also practice ashtanga yoga. It's all based on what kind of guru's shelter we take. Similar kind of sadhana we tend to practice. So in that way we have to understand. So now for the Mishra Bhaktas, that means devotees who have little bit karma, jnana, yoga, and also the karma yogis, jnana yogis, and ashtanga yogis who have little bit bhakti. All the 6 category of people, they follow being situated themselves in Varnashram system. So now being situated in Varnashram system, what kind of sadhana, what kind of daily routine they follow, that will be described now in the upcoming 5 chapters. So to start with, 11th chapter talks about the 4 Varnas. So what are the 4 Varnas? What kind of duties are prescribed to them by Shastra? How do they conduct? How do they follow? How do they maintain themselves? Etc. Will be narrated now in the 11th chapter. And 12th chapter talks about Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi or something like that. And 13th chapter talks about Sannyasi and Grihastha. 14th chapter and 15th chapter, both chapters are fully about Grihastha. So in that way, all these details will be described. Here you see here, chapter 11 talks about 4 Varnas. 12 to 14 talks about four ashramas. And chapter 15 is specifically dedicated to detached householder. So in great detail, it talks about it. So now to begin 11th chapter, in 10 chapters in the past, the pure inclinations arising from devotion to the Lord have been described. Prahlad Maharaj, Bhakti has been described. Now in the next 5 chapters, the excellence of Varnasrama for material sustenance is now explained. Why we need to follow Varnasrama? For our material maintenance, for our sustenance. Having explained great mercy at the cause of inclination to bhakti without mixture of the gunas in 5 chapters now. So in the previous 10 chapters, Narada Muni explained that how the mercy of Narada Muni produced the pure bhakti in Prahlad Maharaj. The selfless mercy of Narada Muni produced the selfless bhakti of Prahlad Maharaj. That has been described in the previous 10 chapters. Now in the 5 chapters, Narada Muni now going to explain Nishkama Karma Yoga as the cause of inclinations for a type of bhakti which is mixed with gunas. So Ananya Bhakti is not mixed with gunas, but Mishra Bhakti is mixed with gunas. As a result of the gunas, somebody is called as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and somebody will be called as Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, etc. So, for example, just to understand how this mixture of gunas will work, somebody is predominantly in the mode of goodness is uh, called as Brahmana. Somebody is predominantly in the mode of passion and goodness called as Kshatriya. Somebody is predominantly in the mode of passion and ignorance. Brahmana, Sattva Kshatriya, Sattva plus Rajas, Vaishya, Rajas plus Tamas, and Shudra, Tamas. Maybe little bit Rajas and Tamas also, Sattva and also will be there, but predominantly means majority. So like that we have to see. And also for Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi also, there is the influence of 3 gunas. So there we cannot say that, oh, Brahmachari means ignorance, Grihastha means passion, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, Sattva guna. Not like that. So in the Brahmachari also, there are goodness Brahmacharis, who are passionate Brahmacharis and Tamasic Brahmacharis also. But anyway, but there is influence of the 3 gunas in all these 4 Varnas and 4 ashramas. So that topic will be discussed in the 11th chapter. Sri Shuka Uvacha
श्रीशुक उवाच
Shrutvehitam sadhu sabhasabajitam
श्रुत्वे हितं साधु सभासभाजितम्
Mahattamagrannya Urukramatmanaha
महत्तमाग्रण्य उरुक्रमात्मनः
Yudhishthiro Daitypatermudanvitaha
युधिष्ठिरो दैत्यपतेर्मुदान्वितः
Paprucha Bhuyastanayam Swayambhuvaha
पप्रच्छ भूयस्तनयं स्वयंभुवः. Sukadev Goswami continued. After hearing about the activities and character of Prahlad Maharaja, which are adored and discussed among great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Yudhishthira Maharaj, the most respectful king among exalted personalities, again inquired from the great saint Narada Muni in a mood of great pleasure.
Now Sukadeva Goswami is telling what is happening between Narada Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj. Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing about the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, the chief of the great devotees, what was that? Mahattama Agranya of the great devotees is
Prabhuji can't hear you.
Hare Krishna. Now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. So
We
Narada
lost you
Muni,
in between.
Sukadeva Goswami says, till now, Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the assembly assembled sages and everyone who are sitting in that assembly, Rajashu sacrifice ke baad, they all heard about Prahlad Maharaj. What is the specialty of Prahlad Maharaj? The glories of Prahlad Maharaj are always discussed in the assembly of uh, great devotees. Sadhu Sabha Sabhajitam. His wonderful qualities are always worshipped and heard and discussed in Sadhu Sabhas because he is best among the devotees. Mahattama Agranya. Urkramatmana, who considers the Supreme Lord Urkrama to be his life and soul. So like that. So in that assembly, having heard about Prahlad Maharaj, wonderful qualities and all, now Yudhishthira Maharaj again inquired from Narada Muni with great joy. So Ittam Sadhu Sabha Sabhajitam means actions respected in the assembly of great devotees. Mahatma Agranya means Prahlada, the chief of great devotees. So in that way. But in any case, they all heard about Prahlad and they all became very happy, very much ecstatically happy. Now we want to hear something more. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj going to inquire from Narada Muni. What is that Yudhishthira Maharaj want to hear more and more from Narada Muni? Sri Yudhishthira Uvacha.
श्रीयुधिष्ठिर उवाच
Bhagavan Shrotumichami
भगवन् श्रोतुमिच्छामि
Nranam Dharma Sanatanam
नृणां धर्मं सनातनम्
Varnasrama Yutam
वर्णाश्रम आचरयुतम्
Yat Puman Vindate Param.
यत् पुमां विन्दते परम्. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, My dear Lord, I wish to hear from you about the principles of religion by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. I wish to hear about the general occupational duties of human society and the system of social and spiritual advancement known as Varnasrama.
Here he is asking the question that Bhagavan Shrotimichami, oh Narada Muni, I want to hear. What is that I want to hear? Nranam Dharmam Sanatanam. Please speak about Sanatan Dharma. I want to hear about the eternal Dharma of human beings. The man. What is that Sanatan Dharma of the human beings? Bhakti Yoga. I have heard about pure Bhakti of Prahlad Maharaj. Unalloyed, unmixed Bhakti of Prahlad Maharaj. But now I also want to hear about Bhakti practiced by others who are not unalloyed, who may not be as pure as Prahlad, but others also practice Bhakti. So basically, Mishra Bhakti. Now I want to hear about mixed Bhakti practiced by other devotees. Yes, you spoke about Prahlad Maharaj who was practicing pure Bhakti, matlab unalloyed devotion, highest Bhakti. That is fine, that we have heard, but everyone may not be on the caliber of Prahlad Maharaj. Some people will be practicing bhakti at their own level. So I want to hear about that bhakti also. To speak about that, Nanam Sanatana Dharma. Nanam means people in general. Everyone may not be able to practice like Prahlad Maharaj, but whatever they may practice, so please speak about that bhakti. And also, Varnashramachara Yutam Yat Puman Vindate Param, as well as Varnashram Dharma by which man achieves the perfection. So obviously, by practicing pure bhakti, one will attain perfection. One not only attains perfection, one delivers 21 generations in one's own family, like Prahlad Maharaj, the Lord told. That is fine. If not 21 generation, in order to liberate oneself, one need to become devotee. So mixed devotee at least. So please speak about that mixed bhakti of mixed devotees. And also, even by practicing Varnashrama Dharma, one can achieve perfection. Or that Varnashrama Dharma which brings one perfection, speak about that. So speak about Varnashrama Dharma which may award one perfection. So like that. So basically two questions. One question is about mixed bhaktas or mixed bhakti. The second question is about that Varnashrama Dharma which can help one attain perfection. So like that. These are the two things which Narada Muni asks. Now, which Yudhishthira Maharaj asks. Now Narada Muni will answer. Sanatanam means that which remains after the results achieved. It refers to Bhakti Yoga, which is not given up after achieving Prema. So, see, because in Bhagavad Gita also we discussed. What was that? Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. Samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. A grihastha in the Varnashram system practices Nishkama Karma Yoga. At one point of time, having attained sufficient amount of purification and sufficient amount of renunciation, one gives up the Grihastha Dharma, enters into Vanaprastha order. So in the Grihastha order, one practices Nishkama Karma Yoga. When one enters into Vanaprastha, one no need to practice Nishkama Karma Yoga anymore. So one has to completely give up Nishkama Karma Yoga, but now take up Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga very sincerely. So as a Vanaprasthi and eventually as a sannyasi, one may practice either Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. And one should not practice any more Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga is meant for grihasthas. That means one has to give up Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then either by practice of Jnana Yoga or by the practice of Nishkama Ashtanga Yoga, one will come to the platform of Brahma Bhuta platform or Samadhi. In Ashtanga Yoga, we have Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So coming to Samadhi in Ashtanga Yoga or coming to the Brahma Bhuta platform or Jivan Mukta platform in Jnana Yoga is the final perfection. So then, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu. So what are the qualities and characteristics of a person who had come to Brahma Bhuta platform or who had come to Samadhi platform is described in this verse. Then, having come to Brahma Bhuta platform, having come to Samadhi platform, one gives up one's practices of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Because Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, their final aim or final goal is to bring one to Brahma Bhuta or Samadhi platform. With these characteristics, Prasannatma, Na Sochati, Na Kankshati, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu. These are the principal qualities of being Brahma Bhuta, being self-realized. Then, what one is supposed to do? One need to continue Bhakti. Till now, Bhakti remained as an integral part, as a secondary element. Now, as a Grihastha, he was practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga plus Bhakti. As a Vanaprastha, is practicing Jnana Yoga plus Bhakti, Ashtanga Yoga plus Bhakti. And they finally came to, in order to enter into Vanaprastha, one has to give up Nishkama Karma Yoga. And having come to Brahmabhuta platform, one has to give up one's Jnana Yoga practice or Ashtanga Yoga practice. And then one should only practice Bhakti Yoga. With that Bhakti Yoga, one will realize Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan, and one will go to transcendence. Those who realize Brahman, Paramatma, they enter into Brahmajyoti. and those who realize Paramatma and Bhagavan, they will enter into Vaikuntha. So like that. So bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatata tato mam tatvato jnatva vichite tadanantaram. So in that way. So now when the word says Sanatana Dharma, that means from material point of view, Varnasrama Dharma we can call it as Sanatana Dharma. But from spiritual point of view, Sanatana Dharma means even after perfection also one does not give up. What is that? Bhakti. After going to transcendence, either Brahmajyoti or Vaikuntha, one no need to practice Nishkama Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. They are not required. What one does is Bhakti Yoga only. So one does not give up Bhakti Yoga even after attaining liberation. That's why Bhakti is called as Sanatana Dharma in this context. So in this explanation, Bhakti is considered to be Sanatana Dharma because it is always there. Even while practicing, after perfection also Bhakti will remain. But other things one had to give up after attaining the perfection of that particular sadhana. So in that way. And also he said, I want to hear about Varnasrama Dharma as well, by which people also attain perfection. So the other two questions. One is about Mishra Bhakti, second one is about Varnasrama Dharma. Mishra Bhakti means Bhakti mixed with a little bit karma, Bhakti mixed with jnana, Bhakti mixed with yoga. And Varnasrama Dharma means Karma Yoga mixed with Bhakti, Jnana Yoga mixed with Bhakti, Ashtanga Yoga mixed with Bhakti. So that is called as Varnasrama system. Like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like whatever you explained now, the connection of ashrama with the particular yoga system, like in the Grasthashrama, basically it is mainly the Karma Yoga practice, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then the Vanaprastha, like Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. And when one reaches finally to the Brahmabhuta stage, there he can be Brahman realized, and later if he still progresses further, he can have the Paramatma and Bhagavan realization like that. So are these the recommendation of the scriptures that when in particular type of ashram one should follow these kind of a practices, or one like we see now, like one can directly go to Bhakti Yoga also, like so many devotees do. How to understand?
See, that's what I'm saying now. The first line talks about mixed bhakti. Mixed bhakti means primarily they are practicing bhakti, but for their daily sustenance they also take part in varnashrama duties, but they are secondary importance. Mixed bhakti means primarily bhakti, but mixed with a little bit karma, jnana, yoga. When we say karma means grasashram, jnana and yoga means vanaprastha and sannyasi ashram, or even naishtika brahmacharya if somebody follows. So when we say Sanatana Dharma means the devotee who is practicing karma means a grastha devotee. A devotee who is practicing a little bit jnana or yoga means a naishtika brahmachari or vanaprasthi or sannyasi devotee. So like that. So that means they are also practicing some varnashram duties, but as a support to their bhakti.
Okay, so in those ashramas, they will be practicing bhakti, but that is not the chief part of their sadhana. It is just a secondary. But when reaches the final goal, that time the bhakti will become prominent and others will become.
No. Again, you are mixing both. See, when you say Varnashrama means technically Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogis, and Ashtanga Yogis.
Okay.
So in Grastha order, they practice Karma Yoga. In the Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, they either practice Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga.
Okay.
So Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogis, Ashtanga Yogis are part of Varnashrama system. That's all.
Okay.
They are
That means
interchangeably can be used. When you say Varnashrama means Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogis, Ashtanga Yogis. When you say Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogis, Ashtanga Yogis means Varnashrama. Either way, you can use interchangeably.
Okay, so Bhakti Yogi doesn't come in the Varnashram realm at all, like that.
No, no, no. Again, you are mistaking. Shuddha Bhakta, pure devotee is beyond Varnasrama.
Okay.
Okay? But mixed devotee is also practicing Varnashram duties for their survival.
Yeah.
When you say here, Nunam Dharmam Sanatana means the Sanatana Dharma for common people is Bhakti mixed with little bit karma, little bit jnana, and little bit yoga. So when I say Bhakti mixed with little bit karma means a devotee taking shelter of Grihastha.
Okay.
A devotee taking shelter of Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, or Nashtika Brahmacharya is Jnana Mishra Bhakta or Yoga Mishra Bhakta. So like that.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Keval Ananya Bhakta is beyond Varnashrama. The pure devotee is beyond Varnashrama. He has no trace of karma, jnana, yoga.
But then, Prabhuji, like those who are at the sadhana stage of, means their faith is pure, but they are still sadhakas. They have not reached the perfection. So they will.
Then they should be called as Karma Mishra Bhaktas, Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, and Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. According to their current status of consciousness, they should be termed like that.
Okay, so means at the sadhana stage or as a sadhaka, we will fall in the realm of Varnashrama. But when someone reaches the perfection, then he is beyond Varnashrama.
That time you don't address them as Karma Mishra Bhaktas. That time you address them as Ananya Bhaktas.
Okay, okay, thank you.
The designation is one's current status.
Yeah.
So in that way. So now, Yudhishthira Maharaj further continuing. Bhavan Prajapate Sakshad
Bhavan Prajapate Sakshat
Atmaja Parameshtina
Atmaja Parameshtina
Sutanam Sammato Brahmam
Sutanam Sarmato Brahmam
Sutanam Brahmato Brahmam
Sutanam Sammato Brahmams
Tapo Yoga Samadhibihi.
Tapo Yoga Samadhibihi. O best of the Brahmanas, you are directly the son of Prajapati, Lord Brahma. Because of your austerities, mystic yoga, and trance, you are considered the best of all of Lord Brahma's sons.
So, in order to inspire Narada Muni, Yudhishthira Maharaj saying that, O best of the Brahmanas, you are directly the son of Brahma. Sakshad Prajapate Atmaja Parameshtina. The best of his sons by your austerities, yoga, and samadhi. One qualification of yours is you are son of Brahma. That is fine. There are many sons of Brahma, but you are best of all those because of your tapasya, yoga, and samadhi. Tapo, yoga, samadhi. Because of all your these qualities, you are best of all other sons. So in that way, you please answer. You please speak about all these things about mixed bhakti and also about varnashrama duties. Why Yudhishthira is asking this? Why don't you ask other sages dedicated to the principles of Smriti scriptures? Why are you asking me? You please ask those other great sages who are actually practicing varnashram duties, who are actually teaching and practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Why don't you ask them directly? The sages like Marichi, Vasishta, Pulaha, Kratu are also there in that assembly. Why are you asking me? Then our Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Narayana Paravipra
Narayana para vipra
Dharmam Guhyam Param Vidu
dharmam guhyam param
Karuna Sadhava Shantas
karuna shantas
Tadvidana tata pare.
Tadvidhana tatha pare. No one is superior to you in peaceful life and mercy, and no one knows better than you how to execute devotional service or how to become the best of the Brahmins. Therefore, you know all the principles of confidential religious life, and no one knows them better than you.
Yudhishthira Maharaj says, yes, yes, there are many other great sages who are teachers and the practitioners of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, but you are unique, you are separate compared to all of them. How? The peaceful Brahmana devotees like you, dedicated to Lord Narayana, know the secret of Dharma. Others do not know. You, being a pure devotee, can explain about everything else and their essence and purpose. Other people may talk about all the other dharmas in great detail, but in regards to essence and purpose, you are the best knower. So you being a pure devotee, you are a best example of Nishkama Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, mixed Bhakta, Vanaprasthas, sorry, a Varnasrama, all Varnasrama duties. You are a best example of all those things. So you please speak. So like that, Yudhishthira Maharaj is inspiring Narada Muni to speak further. Because you are dedicated to Lord Narayana. Your dedication to Lord Narayana is incomparable. Others are also dedicated to Narayana, but your dedication to Narayana is excellent. That's why you can talk about all other things. So please speak. That's how Yudhishthira Maharaj inspired Narada Muni to speak further. Now, Narada Muni will respond. Now, from text number 5 to 12, it talks about the principles of the Sanatana Dharma. So he said, Nranam Dharma Sanatana. The common people, what kind of bhakti they will practice? So what they should do in order to practice Mishra Karma, Mishra Bhakti? So the principles of Mishra Bhakti are being described in these verses. Text number 5 to 12. Sri Narada Uvacha.
श्रीनारद उवाच
Natva Bhagavate Jaya.
नत्वा भगवते जाय
Lokanam Dharma Setave.
नाम धर्म सेतवे
Vakshe Sanatanam Dharma.
वक्षे सनातनं धर्म
Narayana Mukha Shrutam.
नारायण मुखाश्रितम् श्रुतम्. Roji, translation if you can say. Narada said, after first offering my obeisances unto Lord Krishna, the protector of Dharma for of all living entities, let me explain the principles of Bhakti Yoga which I have heard from the mouth of Lord Narayana.
So before speaking anything, Narada Muni is offering obeisances to Lord Narayana for 2-3 reasons. One is because Lord Narayana is the supreme personality of Lord Narayana. Lord Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. So let me offer my respects to unto Lord Krishna and Lord Narayana. Second reason is he is the protector of Dharma. Dharma Setave. Lokanam Dharma Setave. Why Lord is protecting Dharma? Unless if Lord does not protect Dharma, how people will practice Dharma? If people don't practice Dharma, how they will attain perfection? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadarmatanam tadatmanam sujamyaham. So whenever Dharma goes to decline, the Lord comes and protects and re-establishes Dharma in its full swing for the benefit of all the people. So Lokanam Dharma Setave. That's why I want to offer obeisance unto him. And now let me explain the principles of Bhakti Yoga, that Sanatana Dharma, which you want to hear, which I have heard from Lord Narayana himself. Narayana Mukashrutam. That means Narad Muni heard about Ananya Bhakti and also about Mishra Bhakti from Lord Narayana directly, which Narada Muni describes in the form of Narada Pancharatra. So now, in brief, he is going to talk about Narada Pancharatra in essence. Then he will talk about Varnasrama Dharma in great detail. So that is the understanding. Ajaya means unto Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna is also sitting along with them in the same assembly. So he offered obeisance to Lord Krishna, and then he is going to talk about Mishra Bhakti, which he had heard from Lord Narayana himself, about Nranam Dharma Sanatanam. So Vakshe Sanatanam Dharmam. So in that way. Yovatiryamanam Shena. Yo Avatiryatmano Amshena.
यो अवतीर्यात्मनो अंशेन
दाक्षायण्यं तु धर्मतः
दाक्षायण्यां तु धर्मतः
लोकानां स्वस्तयेऽध्यास्ते
लोकानां स्वस्तये ध्यास्ते
तपोभदरिकाश्रमे.
तपोबदरिकाश्रमे. Lord Narayana, along with his partial manifestation, Nara appeared in this world through the daughter of Daksha Maharaj, known as Murti. He was begotten by Dharma Maharaj for the benefit of all entities. Even now, he is still engaged in executing great austerities near the place known as Badrikashram.
So somebody may ask, oh, which Lord Narayana spoke to Narada Muni? So now he is answering. Which Lord Narayana spoke to him? Lord Narayana along with his Amsha Naranarayana, appearing through the daughter of Daksha, known as Murti, and Dharma. So Murti is mother, Dharma is father of Naranarayan Rishis. And they appeared through these parents. And since their appearance, they are continuously engaged in executing austerities at Badrikashrama for the benefit of the entire universe. Lokanam swastaye adhyaste tapo Badrikashrame. In Badrikashrama, they are performing tapasya from the beginning of their birth. For what purpose? Lokanam swastaye, for the well-being of all the living entities. And they spoke to me these things. I have heard from Naranarayan Rishis. That I will speak. So Narada Muni's gurus are Naranarayan Rishis. So whatever he heard from Naranayan Rishis, now Narada Muni is going to deliver, repeat to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Dharma moolam hi Bhagavan.
Dharma moolam hi Bhagavan.
Sarva vedamayo arihi.
Sarva vedamayo hari.
Smrutam cha tadvidam rajan.
Smritam cha tadvidam rajan.
Ena chatma prasidati.
Ena chatma prasidati. The Supreme Being, the personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, the root of all religious principles, and the memory of great authority. O King Yudhishthira, this principle of religion is to be understood as evidence. On the basis of this religious principle, everything is satisfied, including one's mind, soul, and even one's body.
Now he is talking about the origin of Sanatana Dharma. For those who know the Supreme Lord, the Lord is the cause and proof of Dharma. It is the Bhagavan is the cause and proof of Dharma. Dharma moolam hi Bhagavan. Sarva Vedamayo Arihi. Since he is the essence of all the Vedas and He is the Smriti scriptures as well. Smrutam cha tad vidam rajan. Ena chatma prasidati. By this dharma, the mind is pleased. So somebody may say, "Oh, what is that Sanatana Dharma? You are always talking about Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. What is that?" Yeah, Sanatana Dharma is that Dharma which is spoken by Lord Narayana himself. Which Lord Narayana? Lord Nara Narayana. Who are they? They are the children of Dharma and Murti. Who is Murti? Murti is the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Who is Dharma? Dharma is the son of Lord Brahma. So in that way. So Pura details identity is being described. So I have heard from Naranarayan Rishis about Sanatana Dharma. So what is that Sanatana Dharma? What is that specialty of the Sanatana Dharma? Those people who know the Supreme Lord, they understand that the Sanatana Dharma has been prescribed by Lord Narayana himself. So what? So Lord Narayana told something, then so what is the specialty of that? Because he is the essence of all Vedas and all the Smriti scriptures as well. As Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Vedesha Sarver Ahameva Vedyo. I am supposed to be known by studying all the Vedas, that means Shruti scriptures, and also all the Smriti scriptures. Here both are there. Sarva Vedamayo Hari Smrutam Cha. Sarva Smrutam Harihi. All the Smriti scriptures and all the Shruti scriptures describe that the essence of Dharma is Lord Narayana himself. The cause of Dharma is Lord Narayana. The essence of Sanatana Dharma is Lord Narayana himself. And by practicing this Sanatana Dharma, one's Atma is completely pleased. The mind is completely pleased. Enatma suprasidhatimi. As Bhagavatam first canto second chapter also it is mentioned. Savai pumsham paro dharma yato bhaktir adokshije. There are so many dharmas. Among all the dharmas, what is Sanatana Dharma? Sanatana Dharma is that dharma practicing which Krishna Prema will be produced. Bhagavat Prema will be produced. Ahetuki apratyata yenatma suprasidati. And that dharma, that Sanatana Dharma is ahetuki, no material hetu, and apratyata, no material disturbance will disturb it. By practicing that Sanatana Dharma, Atma suprasidati. One's self, one's mind, one's intelligence, one's senses are all completely pleased. That Sanatana Dharma is spoken by Lord Narayana, and its essence is Lord Narayana. So like that is describing and defining Sanatana Dharma. So in that way, the Lord is certainly the cause. The cause means the producer, the prescriber, and also the proof of Dharma. And the Lord is the essence of that Dharma. Since he is the essence of all the Vedas and all the Smriti scriptures, this means that without devotion to the Lord, dharmas cannot succeed. Whether it is Sanatana Dharma, whether it is Varnasrama Dharma, they will attain perfection only when there is bhakti. Tapasvino dana parayashasvino manasvino mantra vida sumangala క్షేమం న విందంతి వినాయ దర్పణం తస్మై సుభద్రా శ్రవసే నమో నమః. క్షేమం నా విందంతి vinayad arpanam. Without offering to Supreme Lord, none of the dharmas will attain perfection. Tapasvino, Danapara, Yashasvino, Manasvino, Mantravida Sumangalo. Whether somebody may be Sakama Karmi, Nishkama Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, whatever one may be, one attains perfection when one does whatever they are doing as an offering to Supreme Lord. So like that. He is also the Smriti scriptures. Scriptures other than the Vedas. So what do you mean by Smriti? Shruti are Vedas. Smriti are other scriptures which are not Vedas. So Lord is also the Smriti scriptures. For those who know the Lord as Vishnu, who know that Lord Vishnu is the source of the Vedas. tad vidam. Those who know that the Vedas are produced from the Lord Vishnu, they should also know that the essence of Smriti scriptures is also Lord Vishnu. This also one should know. So, but in the Smriti scripture, there are so many scriptures talk about so many other things. Is every scripture should be considered as Sanatana Dharma, part of Sanatana Dharma? No. Those scriptures which prescribe few other things should be kept aside. So, what kind of scripture should be kept aside? This excludes those Smriti scriptures which prescribe vows on the Ashtami day with Rohini constellation mixed with the Saptami day, or offerings to the Pitrus. That means those scriptures which talk about some special vratas to be followed on the Saptami and Ashtami containing Rohini Nakshatra. There is Saptami Tithi and Ashtami Tithi, and in between these two, there is Rohini Nakshatra. On those days, some special vratas should be followed. If some scriptures are talking about such kind of vratas, some scriptures are only prescribing about Pitru Tarpan, such kind of shastra should be kept aside. Such kind of Purana should be kept aside, which are devoid of worship of Lord Vishnu at the beginning of the ceremony. So those scriptures which are prescribing Pitru Tarpan or some other vows on Saptami, Ashtami with Rohini Nakshatra and all, and if they does not have any Vishnu worship in their vratas, in their puja, etc., such kind of scripture should be kept aside. By this, the mind is pleased. Otherwise, the rest of the scriptures always talk about Vishnu worship. Where there is Vishnu worship, there is complete satisfaction of the self, mind, and Atma, intelligence and senses. All these things are completely satisfied where there is Vishnu worship. So, whichever scripture recommends Vishnu worship, they should be accepted. So, in that way, it is understood. So, this verse is similar to the statement as Savai Pumsham Paro Dharma Edo Bhakti Radokshija Ahetuki Apratiyata Atma Suprasidati. That means their second chapter of the first canto describes Paro Dharma. Here, that Paro Dharma has been described as Sanatana Dharma or Mishra Bhakti. So, like that. The word Su in Suprasidati indicates that the mind is not pleased with karma mixed with bhakti or bhakti mixed with karma as much as it is pleased with pure bhakti. By mixed bhakti, the mind is pleased, prasidati. But by ananya bhakti, the mind is completely pleased, suprasidati. So like that, we have to understand. So is a specific adjective, specific qualifier means completely satisfaction. That is only plausible by ananya bhakti. So that's how we have to distinguish. And dharma without bhakti should not be accepted. So any other dharmas prescribed in the Puranas and Vedas, they should not be accepted if they are devoid of bhakti. Because Yajnavalka Smriti says, Shruti Smriti Sadachara Swasya Cha Priyamatmanaha Samyak Sankalpa Kamo Dharma Moolam Idam Smrutam. The Vedas, that is Shruti, Smriti scriptures, and proper conduct and are pleasing to the mind. Shruti Smriti Sadachara Swasya Cha Priyam Atmanaha. The Vedas, Smriti scriptures, and proper conduct are pleasing to the mind. Desires arising from firm determination, following the principles of Sanatana Dharma, are considered the root of Dharma. So Yajnavalka says that, so one should be following the Shruti, Smriti and Sadachara. And also one should cultivate those desires which are produced from firm determination to come back to Godhead, following the principles of Sanatana Dharma. What is the principle of Sanatana Dharma? Want to serve the Lord for the rest of eternity. If that is the goal, if that is the desire, then okay. So like that. And this desire should be the root of dharma. When we are practicing Sanatana Dharma, the root of Sanatana Dharma is worship of Lord Vishnu. So in that way. Or worship of Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. So any form. Vedo akilo dharma moolam smruti shile cha tadvidham acharascha sadunam atmanas tushtirevacha. Manusmruti says this. All the Vedas, all the Smruti scriptures, and the conduct are the root of Dharma for those who know Sanatana Dharma. The conduct of the well-behaved is satisfying to the mind. That means the devotees always behave in such a way that is pleasing to the self. However, the root of Dharma is the Supreme Lord, is a superior idea. So it does not remain with the pleasing the mind, but pleasing the Supreme Lord. One should go all the way up to pleasing the Supreme Lord. Similarly, Narasimha Purana says, Chanakadayo nivrutyake techa dharme niyojita pravrutyake marichadya muktvaikam naradam munim. Narasimha Purana says that Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara, the four Kumaras and their followers, they are always engaged in Vairagya Dharma. That means Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga specifically demands Vairagya. A Grihastha is not qualified for practicing Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. They need to be either Naistika Brahmachari or Vanaprasthi or Sannyasi. Only they can practice Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, which are taught by the four Kumaras. That's why the four Kumaras either practice or preach always Vairagya Dharma. They always in Vairagya Dharma. Marichi and other Prajapatis, the sons of Brahma, they were engaged in the path of enjoyment through Dharma. So all the sons of Brahma, all the Prajapatis, Marichi, Pulaha, Kratu, Vasishta, Angira, Bhrugu, Daksha, etc., etc., they practice Nishkama Karma Yoga and they teach Nishkama Karma Yoga being situated in household ashram, in the Grihastha ashram. So in the Grihastha ashram, there is a lot of facilities for enjoyment, etc., etc. So they practice and also engage in the path of enjoyment through household order, Varnasrama Dharma, as Grihastha Dharma. Only Narada was free from both of these. Naistika Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi are practiced by the practitioners of Vairagya Dharma. And Grihastha Ashram is followed by the practitioners of Nishkama, Grihastha Dharma, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Only Narada was free of both these. Narada Muni is free of all the four Varnas and four Ashramas. He is practicing Ananya Bhakti. That's why Yudhishthira Maharaj is telling that, oh Narada, you know everything. You are best example for everything. You please speak about all these things because you really understand the real essence of all these things. So please speak about that Sanatana Dharma, following which one pleases Lord Narayana. So this is a qualifier of Sanatana Dharma. So what do you mean by Sanatana Dharma? Why Narada Muni is chosen to speak about the Sanatana Dharma? Because Narada Muni is beyond the rules and regulations of Varnasrama Dharma. He is beyond Vairagya Dharma. He is beyond Grihastha Dharma. Vairagya Dharma means Naistika Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi. And Grihastha Dharma is Grihastha Dharma. So in that way. So having indicated what is Sanatana Dharma, what is the qualifier of Sanatana Dharma, who taught it, why they taught it, what was the goal and purpose of that. Now he talks about what the people do, what the practitioners of Mishra Bhakti, what they will do throughout their life. Of course, they also do Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. In addition to that, because they are Mishra Bhaktas, what other things they will do? What all the other things are their focus of interest? They are all summarized in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 verses. Thus, Narada is superior to both Yajnavalkya and Manus, since he is aware of the essence of all dharmas. So, what is the essence of all dharmas? What are the practices of all those people? All those Mishra Bhaktas are listed now from 8 to 12. So, like that. Hare Krishna, you are able to follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, basically, the mixed devotees are devotees and also they practice the Varnasrama duties following the Vedas, Smritis, and also proper conduct. And they follow those literatures which prescribe various dharmas along with bhakti. But they don't follow those scriptures which only talk about dharmas but not bhakti. That is the understanding. So now let us see what they will do. Satyam daya tapasaucham
Satyam daya tapa saucham
titiksha shamodama
siddhiseksha samodama
ahimsa brahmacharyam cha
ahimsa brahmacharyam cha
tyaga swadhyaya arjavam
tyaga swadhyaya arjavam
santosha samadrukseva
santosha samadrukaseva
ग्राम्ये हो परमाशनै
ग्राम्ये हो परमासनै
ऋणां विपर्यायेक्षा
नृणां विपर्याये इक्षा
मौनम् आत्मा विमर्शनम्
मौनम् आत्मा विमर्शनम्
अन्नाद्येधे संविभागो
अन्नाद्यादेह संविभागो
भूतेभ्यश्चायथार्हता
भूतेभ्यश्च यथार्हता
तेषु आत्मदेवता बुद्धि
विश्व आत्मदेवता बुद्धि
सुतरां ऋषु पाण्डवा
सुतरां ऋषु पाण्डवा
श्रवणं कीर्तनं चास्य
श्रवणं कीर्तनं चास्य
स्मरणं महतां गते
स्मरणं महतां गते
सेवेज्यावनतेर्दास्यम्
देवे जावनतीर्दास्यम्
सख्यम् आत्मसमर्पणम्
सख्यम् आत्मसमर्पणम्
नृणाम् अयं परो धर्म
नृणाम् अयं परो धर्म
सर्वेषां समुदाहृता
सर्वेषां समुदाहृता
त्रिंशल्लक्षणवन्
त्रिंशल्लक्षणवान् राजन्
सर्वात्मा येन तुष्यति
सर्वात्मा येन तुष्यति. These are the general principles to be followed by all human beings: truthfulness, mercy, austerity, observing fast on certain days of the month, bathing twice a day, tolerance, discrimination between right and wrong, control of the mind, control of the senses, non-violence, celibacy, charity, reading of scripture, simplicity, satisfaction, rendering service to saintly persons, gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements, observing the futility of the unnecessary activities of human society, remaining silent and grave and avoiding unnecessary talk, considering whether one is the body or the soul, distributing food equally to all living entities, both men and animals, seeing every soul, especially in the human form, as a part of the Supreme Lord, hearing about the activities and instructions given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of the saintly persons, chanting about these activities and instructions, always remembering these activities and instructions, trying to render service, performing worship, offering obeisances, becoming a servant, becoming a friend, and surrendering one's whole self. O King Yudhishthira, these 30 qualifications must be acquired in the human form of life. Simply by acquiring these qualifications, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So now, in these verses, we see that Trimshal Lakshanavan Rajan Sarvatma Yena Tushyati. These are the 60 sadhana items, or 30 sadhana items are mentioned, which are supposed to be followed, by which a person will be completely satisfied, and one satisfies Lord Vishnu, and eventually one becomes qualified to come back to Godhead. So in that way. So what are the 30 items? What should be practiced by a mixed devotee? Sanatana Dharma follower are mentioned here in 30 items. Satyam Daya Tapas Saucham Titiksha Iksha Samodama Ahimsa Brahmacharyam Cha Tyaga Swadhyayaya Arjavam Santosha Samadruk Seva Gramya Iha Uparama Shanai Nranam Viparyaya Iksha Maunam Atma Vimarshanam Anyad Jedi Samvibago Bhutendriya Bhutebhyascha Yatarahata, because food has to be distributed to all other living entities as per they deserve, something like that. Atma Devata Buddhi Sutaram Rushu Pandava Shravanam. Now you see, all bhakti items are also included, all the other items up till Atma Devata Buddhi Sutaram Rushu Pandava. One should treat everyone like oneself and also like Devatas. We say na the Atit Devo Bhava, something like that. So treat everyone like oneself and treat everyone as Devatas, expansion of Devatas, something like that. So till now the general characteristics which are supposed to be followed by everyone, and which are here in this section, the mixed devotees in relation to Varnasrama duties, all these things are mentioned. But as being a devotee, what one should do? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, and Seva, Ijya, Avanatir. So Seva, Ijja, Avanati means what are missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and remaining 3 are there. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. Seva is Padasevanam, Ijja is Varchanam, and Avanati means Vandanam. So in that way, the 9 limbs of Bhakti are also included. The 9 limbs of Bhakti plus other limbs of Varnasrama system. So by these 3, by all these 30 items, we call them as Mishra Bhaktas, mixed devotees. The followers of Sanatana Dharma. Sadhana Bhakti with mixed with Varnasrama devotees. So that like that it has been described. These are the general principles to be followed by all human beings, those who want to become mixed devotees. What are the general principles? Truthfulness, mercy, austerity, cleanliness, tolerance, discrimination between the right and wrong. Iksha. Iksha means able to see what is good, what is wrong, what is right, what is wrong. And Samadamas. So then what is that? Control of the mind, Sama. Dama is control of the senses. Ahimsa, non-violence. Brahmacharyam, celibacy. Tyaga is charity. Swadhyaya, arjavam, etc. Japa, simplicity, satisfaction. Rendering service to those who see equally. Samadruk seva. One should always serve those people who see everyone equally. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. No. What was that verse? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Kavi Astine, Suni Cheva Samakecha, Pandita Samadarshina. That such kind of people should always be served. So, in that way. And then gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements. So, here in the verse it is said as Gramya Iha Uparamaha Shanai. Gradually, we should become detached from the material duties. Gramya Iha means the duties of this world. One should slowly become detached from the duties of this world. Because obviously, if one want to go back to Godhead, one should become detached from this world. So, gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements. Observing the futility of the activities of human society. What are those? Pranam Viparyaya Iksha. Viparyaya Iksha. We have to see those things which are taking us away from the Supreme Lord. Avoiding observing the futility of activities of human society, avoiding unnecessary talks, considering the differences of the body from the soul. So is there देखो Maunam means avoiding unnecessary talks. Atma Vimarshanam, try to do self introspection, understand what is Atma, what is not Atma, etc. 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 So in that way, considering the difference of the body from the soul, distributing food equally to all living entities as per what they deserve. Annadye, annadyeha, anna adi iha, samvibago bhutebhyascha etarhata. As per what one deserve, as according to that, one should deserve the food equally. One should not say that everything is mine. No, everyone deserves it. So distribute it to everyone accordingly. So then, seeing every soul as oneself are a devata. So here it is said, Teshu Atma Devata Buddhi Sutaram Nrushu Pandava. O Pandava, O Yudhishthir Maharaj, treat everyone as oneself or as a devata. Atiti Devo Bhava. It's like that. Then, up till this normal qualities, then bhakti qualities. Hearing, chanting, remembering the Lord and his devotees, service, performing deity worship, offering obeisances, becoming a servant, becoming a friend, and surrendering one's whole life, own self to Supreme Lord. So 21 plus 9, total 30 qualities. O King Yudhishthira, these 30 actions have been described or have been designed as the highest dharma for man, by which the Lord is satisfied. When we practice these 30 things, we are called as Mishra Bhaktas. By that Mishra Bhakti, the Supreme Lord is completely satisfied. So all of us are in the category of Mishra Bhaktas. So what we are supposed to do is all nothing but these 30 things. We need to do these 30 things always. Especially Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakinam. These are there always primarily. And secondarily, all other 21 activities. Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Saucham, Tidiksha, Shamo, Damaha, Ahimsa, Brahmacharyam cha, Tyaga, Swadhyaya, Arjavam, Santosha, Samadrik, Seva, Gramya, Iha, Upaharanam, Sashanai, Nanam, Viparya, Iksha, Maunam, Atma Vimarshanam, Anna Adi, Iha, Samvibago, Bhutendriyascha, Yatarahata, Teshu, Atma Devata, Buddhi, Sutaram, Rushu Pandava. These are 21 qualities. Also should be followed. 9 bhakti activities, 21 activities that are conducive to bhakti. Anukulesa sankalpa. So in that way. Now bhakti yoga common for all humans is described. The first 21 items are assistant items to bhakti. The items starting with hearing are direct bhakti. From Shravanam all the way up to Atma Samarpanam are direct bhakti activities. The remaining 21 are assistant activities to bhakti. Austerity refers to fasting on Ekadashi. Yes, 2 days back only we had Ekadashi. Shama means control of the mind and Dhamma means control of the senses. Swadhyaya is chanting japa in the proper amount. every day 16 rounds at least. Samadruk Seva means serving those who see all beings equally. Viparya Iha Iksha is observing the futility of the material actions. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. This is the meaning. In Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter we have that na Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. That is this. Viparya Iha Iksha. Maunam means giving up useless talk. Atma Vimarshanam means thinking the Atma is different from the body. Every day contemplating about what is Atma, what is not Atma. So in that way. Anna Adi Adehe. Anna Adya Adehe means dividing suitably and giving out food like rice, cakes, cloth, garlands, and sandalwood to everyone what they as per they deserve. One should think of all beings to be oneself or devatas. Teshu Atma Devata Tulya. Treat everyone as Atma Tulya or Devata Tulya. Atiti Devo Bhava. So like that. So this is what a Mishra Bhakta supposed to follow. The 30 important items, 9 direct Bhakti items, 21 Bhakti assistant items. So like that. So in that way, in these last 7-8 verses, Narada Muni talked about what a Mishra Bhakta does. They does Bhakti and also they cultivate all the important 21 items. The 20 items of Bhagavad Gita we see, 13th chapter. The same thing, same 20 items there are coming here as 21 items. So this is what a Mishra Bhakta performs. Hare Krishna, any questions?
No problem.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. So now, the rest of the canto is all about Varnasrama duties. Text number 13 till the end of this chapter, next 4 chapters is all about Varnasrama duties. So about Mishra Bhakti, he spoke little, but all the other things he will speak elaborately because we need to understand this properly. Because anyway, these Varnasrama duties are nothing but the elaboration of these first 21 items. So these 21 items are there now, which are assistant items of Bhakti. They are all nothing but Varnasrama duties. So these 20 and Bhakti items are already spoken by speaking Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj means only Bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Adasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasan, Sakya, Matmiyadam. They are already elaborately explained. Now the future chapter will explain the first 21 items. So combination of both is a Mishra Bhakti. So in that way we can see. That's why here there is no elaboration about these things. But these 21, because these 10, the 9 already elaborated previously. These 21 are elaborated now for our proper understanding. How we can practice all these things? By following Varnasrama system properly. So like that. So now let's continue. What are the general duties of 4 Varnas? Text number 13 to 20 talks about the duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The general duties. Samskara yatra vichinna
Sanskara yatra vichhinna
sadvijojo jagadamade jagadayam
tadvijoja ajo jagadayam
ijjadyayana danani
ijjadhyayana danani
विहितानि द्विजन्मनः विजितानि द्विजन्मनाम्
vihitani dvijanmanam
जन्म कर्मावदातानाम्
janma karmavadatanam
क्रियाश्चाश्रमचोदिताः
kriyaschashramachoditaha. Those who have been reformed by the Garbhadhana ceremony and other prescribed reformatory methods, performed with Vedic mantras and without interruption, and who have been approved by Lord Brahma, are Dvijas or twice born. Such Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, purified by their family traditions and by their behavior should worship the Lord, study the Vedas, and give charity. In this system, they should follow the principles of the four ashramas: Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas.
Yeah. We have four Varnas and four Ashramas. Primarily four Varnas. Among the four Varnas, the three Varnas are called Dvija. The fourth Varna is called as Advija. The Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya are generally known as Dvija. And Shudra are not Dvija. That's why they are called as Advija. So what is the meaning of Dvija? We'll understand. And why these three are separate from the fourth one, that also we'll understand very soon. So like that. So now, those who without fail perform the samskaras and are thus approved by the Brahma are Dvijas, are twice born. What is the definition of Dvija? It is Lord Brahma approved. Who should be called as Dvija? Who can be called as Dvija? Those people who without fail perform all the 16 samskaras which are approved by Brahma. Not that, oh, I am following samskaras. Not like that. One should follow the samskaras as they are prescribed by Brahma. Then, those who follow all the 16 samskaras, they should be called as Dvija. Others should not be called as Dvijas. So, who can be called as Dvijas? Such Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, purified by their family traditions and by their behavior, should worship the Lord, study the Vedas, and give charity. So now, who can come in the category of Dvija? Some Brahmanas, some Kshatriyas, and some Vaishyas who follow the 16 samskaras as prescribed by Lord Brahma can be called as Dvija. Not that every Brahmana and every Kshatriya and every Vaishya is Dvija. No. Those Brahmanas, those Kshatriyas, and those Vaishyas who and whose family members follow the 16 samskaras and also follow good conduct as per the expectation as as prescribed by Lord Brahma, only they can be called as Dvija. All other, the remaining Brahmana, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas can be called as Dvija Bandhu. If they are born in the Brahmana family, they can be called as Brahma Bandhu. If they are born in the Kshatriya family, they can be called as Kshatra Bandhu. If they are born in the family of Vaishya, they are called as Vaishya Bandhu. Because they have not followed the Shodasha Samskaras as they are prescribed by Brahma. If they are prescribed by Brahma, if they are followed them, and they can be called as Dvija. So that is understanding. And what are the duties of these Dvijas? Ijja, Adhyayana, and Danani. These are the compulsory duties of these Dvijas. The Dvija Brahmana, Dvija Kshatriya, Dvija Vaishya should be doing Ijja, Adhyayana, and Dana. They should worship the Supreme Lord either by Archana or by the performance of Yajna. Both are called as Ijja. And they should do Adhyayana, the study of the Vedas. And they should be giving charity. These are the three principal, important, and compulsory duties for the twice born. The Dvijas, those who are born in the family of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and those who follow the 16 samskaras which are prescribed by Lord Brahma. And they should also follow the principles of four ashramas. The Brahmana should go through Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Kshatriya should go through Brahmacharya, Grihastha, and Vanaprastha. And Vaishya should go through Brahmacharya and Grihastha. That's how they should follow the four Varnas and Ashramas as per their as per the rules and regulations and prescriptions given by Lord Brahma. And now, those Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas who follow 16 samskaras as prescribed by Brahma and also follow good conduct, they should practice Ijja, Adhyayana, and Dana. These are the three principal duties of these people. In speaking about the four Varnas, first, the characteristics of the second born are described. Twice born are Dvijas are described. He is called second born who has performed samskara starting with Garbhadana using mantras. That means Garbhadana samskar se lekar all 16 samskaras should be performed accompanied by the chanting of the mantras. So one cannot say that, oh, I am also doing samskara and all, not like that. The samskara should be performed by chanting Veda mantras. That is only bona fide and proper thing. And Shudras also perform samskaras without mantras. So twice born, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas perform all the samskaras by chanting of the Veda mantras. As Shudras perform also try to perform the samskaras but without chanting the Veda mantras. And just upar se kar lenge. There is a distinction between Dvija and Advija. If the continuity of samskaras is broken, this person is called as a Dvijabandhu. Even though one may be born in Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya family, but all the 16 samskaras are not performed properly, then they will be called as Dvijabandhu or Brahmabandhu, Kshatrabandhu, Vaishyabandhu. So like that. Lord Brahma prescribed this for the second born at the beginning of the creation. This means that birth from a pure mother and pure father is the chief characteristic of the second born. So, for a person to become Dvija, their parents should be pure. Because it is the parents who perform Garbhadana Samskara and invite a pure soul in their family. So, the parents necessarily be pure so that they can perform all the samskaras for their children, so that they can make their children as Dvija. Janmane jayate Shudra samskara bhavet Dvija. By following the 16 samskaras properly, one becomes Dvija. So it's like that. So actually, the Varnasrama system demands a great surrender and a great deal of following all the rules and regulations very strictly. So in that way. So a very great deal of struggle to be a Dvija. The principal duties are Ijja, Adhyayana and Dana. And the secondary duties will be mentioned in the next verse. Viprasyadhyayanadini
विप्रस्याध्यायनादिनी
षड अन्यस्या प्रतिग्रह
षडन्यस्य प्रतिग्रह
राजनो वृत्ति प्रजा गोप्तुर
राजनो वृत्ति प्रजा गोप्तुर
अविप्राद्वाकरादिभिः
अविप्राद्वाकरादिभिः. For a Brahmana, there are 6 occupational duties. A Kshatriya should not accept charity, but he may perform the other 5 of these duties. A king or Kshatriya is not allowed to levy taxes on Brahmanas, but he may make his livelihood by levying minimal taxes, custom duties, and penalty fines upon his other subjects.
Now slowly getting into details. For 3 kinds of Dvija, the compulsory activities are Ijja, Adhyayana and Dana. Deity worship or performance of Yajna, reading Shastras, studying the Vedas and giving charity. These are compulsory duties for the twice born Brahmana, twice born Kshatriya, twice born Shudra, twice born Vaishya. And also performing 16 samskaras without fail. And those who follow 16 samskaras but without accompanying the Veda mantras is called as Shudra. So something like that is indicated in the previous verse. Now in the current verse it said that for a Brahmana there are 6 occupational duties. 3 already mentioned, there are 3 more subsidiary duties are there. We will see what they are. A Kshatriya should not accept charity, but he may perform the other 5 of these duties. That means for these 3 people who are called as Dvija, there are total 6 duties. But out of 6, a Brahmana can do all the 6, but Kshatriya is qualified only to do 5. Kshatriya should not do one thing. What is that? Not accepting charity. But if he does not accept charity, but how does he maintain himself? In order to maintain himself, what they should do? A king or Kshatriya is not allowed to lay taxes on Brahmanas, but he may make his livelihood by money from other subjects. So king can lay taxes, but not from the Brahmanas, but from other Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. He can collect taxes for his own survival, for his own maintenance. And Brahmanas can accept charity for their maintenance. So like that. Now, Narada Muni describes the occupations of the 4 Varnas in 7.5 verses. From 13 to 20, all these verses are talking about the occupations of the 4 Varnas, what they will do. First, Brahmanas have 6 activities. For the Brahmanas, 6 activities are prescribed. Vihitani, the verb, is in the previous verse. So 3 items of livelihood are worship, teaching of the Vedas, and accepting charity. So in the previous verse, there were 3 duties are mentioned. The 3 duties are meant for personal purification. What are they? Ijja, Adhyayana, and Dhana. For one's own purification, for one's own spiritual progress, one should be doing deity worship or performing yajna, and one should be giving charity to others, and one should be doing study of the Vedas always. These 3 are the duties meant for one's own spiritual growth, which are common for Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, because 3 of them as need to do with spiritual growth, they need to do. But while living in this world, they need to maintain themselves. In order to maintain oneself, 3 more duties are mentioned. 3 more things are mentioned. What are the 3 things for one's own maintenance? Deity worship or performance of yajna for earning money for one's own livelihood, and teaching of the Vedas, one can teach the Vedas, and accepting charity. So a Brahmana can perform a yajna as the priest for a Kshatriya, for a Vaishya, even for another Brahmana also. Because when one engages in performance of yajna or performance of deity worship as a pujari and all, one will get some remuneration that will be for one's own maintenance. Other parts of maintenance is teaching of the Vedas. Some Brahmanas, some Kshatriyas, some Vaishyas may become the teachers. So by teaching, they can get Guru Dakshina, that is for their maintenance. And also, Brahmanas and Vaishyas can accept charity when it is given, but a Kshatriya should never accept charity. So Kshatriya can only do 5 things. So they cannot accept charity. Otherwise, Brahmanas and Vaishyas can do all the 6. 3 for one's own spiritual purification, spiritual growth and self-purification, and other 3 for one's livelihood. So that is the understanding. So a Brahmana performs yajna and deity worship for one's own spiritual progress, and he also performs deity worship and yajna for other Brahmanas, other Kshatriyas, other Shudra, other Vaishyas, for as a means of livelihood also. Because when he does that, he will be given some dhan, some what we can say, we cannot say dhan and all. So when you do something, you will get something. So when you when you perform yajna, when you do perform deity worship, you will be paid for it. So that is meant for one's own survival. And other means of survival are taking charity when the charity is given. The charity can be given by Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. When one Brahmana gives charity, other Brahmana can take. When Kshatriya gives charity, Brahmana can take. When Vaishya gives charity, Brahmana can take. Even a Vaishya also can take charity, but a Kshatriya should never take charity. That is one separate quality for a Kshatriya. So 3 duties are for livelihood, which are worship, deity worship or performance of yajna, teaching of the Vedas and accepting charity. And other 3 duties are studying scriptures, giving charity and worshipping the Lord personally for one's own spiritual growth, not for others. Here deity worship are for others. Performing yajna or deity worship is for others sake. Here performing deity worship is for one's own spiritual progress. And Manu says in Manusmriti, Manu says, Sannantu karma namasya trini karmani jivika. There are 3 karmas are for jivika. Jivika means livelihood. Yajan adhyapane chaiva vishuddhacha parigraha. Among the 6 activities, 3 are for livelihood. What are they? Deity worship or performance of yajna for others, teaching of the Vedas as a teacher, and accepting charity from a pure person. Charity cannot be taken from impure person. Charity should always be taken from a pure person. From a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya only charity should be accepted, not from others. And charity should be accepted by a Brahmana or Vaishya. A Kshatriya should not accept any charity. So charity also has a rule and regulation. It's not that anyone can give and anyone can take. Not like that. The taker also should be qualified properly and giver also should be qualified properly. Otherwise, it cannot be called as charity. It's like that. So a Shudra, from this point of view, a Shudra can neither give charity nor accept charity. It is only a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya can give charity, and only a Brahmana and Vaishya can accept charity. I mean, I suppose even Vaishya also should not accept charity, I suppose. Only a Brahmana can accept charity. Just like Kshatriya should not accept charity, even a Vaishya also should not accept charity. In general, maybe in emergency they can accept charity, but in general, even Vaishya also should not accept charity. You can understand here. Yajan, Yajan, Patan, Patan, Dana, Parigraha. The same things are mentioned in another way. Yajan, Yajan means performing yajna or deity worship for one's own spiritual progress. Yajan means performing deity worship as a priest or performing as a pujari or performing yajna as a priest for others' sake, for other Brahmanas, other Vaishyas, other Kshatriyas, etc. And Patan, Patan, studying the Vedas for one's own self and teaching the Vedas for others. And Dana Parigraha, giving charity and accepting charity. They are the 6 duties which are performed by a Brahmana. And for Kshatriya and Vaishya, only 5 duties are there. Parigraha is not there. Only दान दे सकते, but दान को स्वीकार नहीं कर सकते. Kshatriya and Vaishya. They are supposed to do 5 duties. Like that. So, for a Brahmana, the 3 means of livelihood are deity worship or performance of yajna, teaching of the Vedas, and accepting charity. Now, sometimes, generally, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas may not engage in all these 3. Anyway, they are not supposed to accept charity. An emergency, they may do deity worship, of course, deity worship as a means of livelihood and teaching of the Vedas as a means of livelihood. Sometimes they may do, but generally they don't do. Then how they should survive? The Kshatriyas can survive by levying taxes from Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. And Vaishyas can survive by cow protection, business and other things, etc. That we have studied in Bhagavad Gita. That will be discussed in the future verses. The Kshatriya cannot accept charity. As emergency, the Kshatriyas can use teaching the Vedas and performing the worship for others as a livelihood. They can teach whatever Vedas they know. They can perform yajna or deity worship for others' sake in emergency at certain times. Accepting charity is forbidden for the Kshatriya, even in emergency. Even in emergency also, one should not accept charity. respectful offerings given by the person he protects are the livelihood of the Kshatriya. Then how does a Kshatriya, how does a king in general survive? By accepting charity from those people whom he protects. From other Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. From these three people, he takes taxes. And the taxed money is for his survival. Or he can leave taxes, fines, or custom duty for a livelihood. Because he is offering protection, he is taking care of the law and order, that is his payment. He will not take payment, but he will take it in the form of taxes from all people whom he protects. That is the understanding. So Brahmana's duties are mentioned, Kshatriya's duties are also mentioned completely. Now next verses talks about Vaishyas and Shudras. Hare Krishna, you are able to follow any confusion? Any question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
This is okay. Yes, Prabhuji, you can continue.
No, you carry on, Mataji.
Prabhuji, all these descriptions, these seem to be so ideal. But considering today's situations, I mean, it is so difficult to imagine whether anything like this exists. Then how to relate it with what we live, the way we live?
So that's what. Later on it is said that Varnasankara. So it is very difficult for us to say that we are Dvija. Then Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, in order to designate ourselves like that is very difficult because we are not following all these things properly. So we are doing all the mixed duty. That's why we are coming the part of Varnasankara. As Arjuna says in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we आने वाला कलयुग में सब वर्णसंकर है, क्या होगा, कैसे होगा? So like that.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, what is the meaning of pure the charity obtained from pure person? Because if you see the people who are practicing devotee and lot of charity getting from other side and giving to temple, so this is not a pure. We can say they are very pure and they are giving charity because their livelihood also very different things.
The other three compulsory duties for Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya are studying the scripture, giving charity, and worshipping the Lord personally. These three are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. People give charity for what? To be known as a charitable person. That is not recommended here. Charity should be given keeping the thing in mind that I want to go back home, back to Godhead. With that purpose, charity should be given. With that purpose, Shastra should be read. With that purpose, deity should be worshipped or yajna should be performed. These three are done by personally for one's own self. They are meant for spiritual growth. Such a person, when he is giving charity, a Brahmana can accept. And by taking charity, we are sending the giver back home, back to Godhead. It's like that. That's why they said that charity should be taken from a pure person. Pure means no material ambitions or no material desires. So people do charity in such a way that they will go to Swarga or they will get birth in aristocratic family and well-to-do Vaishya family, etc., etc. Like that, people understand normally.
But whether these are important, if there people are giving charity for the name, fame, and prestige to the any temple, any society,
See, Prabhuji,
organization.
We are not denying that. See, problem is we are discussing Varnasrama system in Bhagavatam. The main, see, at the very beginning, I don't know whether you joined or not. There are two questions asked. One question was about Sanatana Dharma, that is about Mishra Bhakti, which we discussed in the previous section. The second question is please speak about that Varnasrama system, that Varnasrama Dharma, which will also award one perfection, which will also help one come back to Godhead, or at least Sahajya Mukti tak. The same Varnasrama Dharma can also be followed to go to Swarga, to go to Pitraloka, to get birth in aristocratic family. That is there. But
Yes.
that part of Varnasrama Dharma is not described in the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam does not focus about staying back here. Its main focus is only going back to Godhead.
Okay,
Here we are
Prabhu.
talking about
Understand.
those Varnasrama duties which help one attain transcendence, go back to Godhead, either Vaikuntha or Brahmajyoti.
Yes, Prabhu. Understand that.
That is the main focal point.
Mm.
That's why we should understand the question properly. According to the question, answer will be given. So, other sages, the question was why you are not asking other sages? Other sages will talk about Varnasrama so that one can go to Swarga, one can get better life in aristocratic family, Vaishya, or Brahmana. So that's the problem. That's why he is asking only Narada Muni, because Narada Muni mainly focus about how to take one back to Godhead. So like that.
Okay.
So though here we are talking about Varnashrama system, which can help one go back to Godhead. That's why this looks very ideal. Otherwise, other Varnashrama duties can award us a better birth, can take us to Pitraloka, can take us to Sargaloka. But that is not the purpose of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam does not focus about that. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo. Nirmasaranam satam. Vedyam Vastava
Yes,
Matra
Prabhu.
Vastu Shivodam. What is that Vastava Vastu? Go back to Godhead and become an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. That is the Vastava Vastu. That is taught in the Bhagavatam. I think this will help both you and Mataji to answer
Yes,
your
yes,
questions.
yes, Prabhu. Yes.
That's why it appears to be so ideal. If it is not ideal, one cannot go back to Godhead only. One will be roaming here and only. Ah Brahma Bonal Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. So in that way. So now, Vaishya Vritti. Vaishyastu Varta Vrittisyan
वैश्यस्तु वार्तावृत्ति स्यान्
Nityam Brahma Kulanuga
नित्यं ब्रह्माकुलानुगः
Shudrasya Dvijashushrusha
शूद्रस्य द्विजशुश्रूषा
Vrittischa Swamino Bhavet.
वृत्तिश्च स्वामिनो भवेत्. The mercantile community should always follow the directions of the Brahmanas and engage in such occupational duties as agriculture, trade, and protection of cows. For the Shudras, the only duty is to accept a master from a higher social order and engage in his service.
Just a connection point. So charity should be taken from a pure person. What do you mean by pure person? The person who want to come back to Godhead. So by taking charity from that person, the person will go back to Godhead. The charity giver. Even charity taker also will come back to Godhead. Because he is taking charity from a person who want to come back to Godhead, the mentality of that person will also carry forward along with the charity. When we accept the charity, the same mentality will come to us, and we also cultivate the same mentality. If somebody gives charity with a mentality that I should be known as a best charity giver, or I should be going to Pitraloka, Sargaloka. Yes, the charity giver, because he is giving charity, will go to Pitraloka or Sargaloka, or he will get a name and fame. Same way, the charity taker also will get the same mentality along with the charity, and will also get the same things. Going to Pitraloka, or going to Sargaloka, or getting birth in aristocratic family, or getting name and fame, he will also develop the same. That's why when we take charity, also we should be careful from whom we are taking charity. So that is the thing. When we give charity, also we should give charity, keeping that in mind that let this act of giving charity help me to come back to Godhead. But the taker should also think that, let me, this act of taking charity help me go back home back to Godhead, and also help the charity giver go back home back to Godhead. This is how the charity should be given and taken. It will help both the giver and taker. So it is a very tricky thing. So now, the mercantile community should always engage in occupational duties under the directions of the Brahmanas. Now, Vaishya's duties. So, Vaishyas can do 5 things out of the 6 things. What are the 5 things? Ijja, Adhyayana, and Dana. Of course, in their personal home, they should be worshipping deity, they should be performing yajna, and they should be studying Shastra, and they should be giving charity. That is for spiritual growth. And for their survival, sometimes they can perform yajna. I mean, of course, Vaishyas may not be able to perform yajna, but sometimes in emergency they may help. They may take up that occupation. They may perform yajna for others, by which they may get remuneration, and they can teach Shastra, whatever Shastra they learnt for others, so that they get remuneration for their survival. But that is only in emergency. But they cannot take charity. Just like Kshatriyas, Vaishyas should not take charity. But just like Kshatriyas in other cases, how do they survive? They offer protection and they collect taxes from other Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, but not from Brahmanas. Similarly, Vaishyas, what they should do in general, the mercantile community, the Vaishyas, should always engage in occupational duties under the directions of the Brahmanas. So they should do their Vanijja trading and all, but under the guidance of Brahmanas. They should not do without Guru. They should always do under the guidance of a Guru. That's why we see these Gujaratis, all the Marwari community people, they do their business, but everyone always keep one Guru. They always try to get blessings from a Guru. They keep conducting Bhagavad Saptas, they keep giving charities, they keep donating here and there for their material well-being and spiritual well-being also, because that culture is there in that mercantile community. So in that way, they always keep a Guru. Of course, whether they have the spiritual purpose intact or not, we don't know. But at least material well-being ke liye bhi same principle should be followed. So that they follow very strictly. For the Shudras, whose quality is service to the other Varnas, his livelihood is service to a master of higher social order. So how the Shudras should maintain themselves, and also how the Shudras can purify themselves and go back home back to Godhead is, they should serve the higher Varnas, accepting a pure master. A master who is on the way back home back to Godhead, if a Shudra serves such a master, the Shudra also will go back home back to Godhead. So like that. The occupation of the Vaishya is agriculture and commerce. The quality of Shudra is serving the higher orders, and his occupation is service to a master of those higher orders. So like that. If a master is on the way back home back to Godhead, by serving that master, such a master, the servant also will go back home back to Godhead eventually for his nice service. So like that. Some more details how they can survive, they can maintain themselves. Few additional details are mentioned here. Varta Vichitra Shalina
Varta Vichitrashalina
Yayavara Filonchanam
Yayavara Shilonchanam
Vipravrittis Chaturdeyam
Vipravrittischaturdheyam
Shreyasi Chotarotara.
Vipravrittischaturdheyam
श्रेयसी चोत्तरोत्तरा.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please read the translation, Mataji.
Yeah. Shreyasi Chottarottara. As an alternative, a Brahmana may also take to the Vaishya's occupational duty of agriculture, cow protection, or trade. He may depend on that which he has received without begging. He may beg in the paddy field every day. He may collect paddy left in a field by its proprietor, or he may collect food grains left here and there in the shops of grain dealers. These are four means of livelihood that may also be adopted by Brahmanas. Among these four, each of them in succession is better than the one preceding it.
So, Jivika for the Brahmana was performing yajna or performing deity worship for others' sake, like a priest and a purohit and a pujari, like that, and teaching the Vedas and accepting charity. So, a Brahmana can survive himself by these three. But there are some Brahmanas who may not be having the opportunity of doing these three things. So, how do they survive? That will be mentioned in this verse now. The Brahmana may also adopt four other names of livelihood. So, in addition to those three, four more are given to the Brahmanas. What are the four? He may depend on that which he has received without begging. दान ना मांगते हुए कुछ मिलेगा तो उसको स्वीकार करके उससे अपना जीवन जी सकते हैं. He may beg every day. So one thing is, without begging, if something is, that is called ayachita vritti. Like Madhavendra Puri, he would be going from village to village, but he would never beg anybody. While he was going from village to village, some people would see him and they would offer him some charity. He would accept that. But this is not a charity by begging. It is charity comes on its own accord. That is called ayachita vritti. And second thing is actually begging. One may beg every day. For one survival, go to some grocer's home and beg, and that's all. Not store anything, just for survival that day. He may collect paddy left in a field by its proprietor. खेती काम करने के बाद, राइस को कट करने के बाद कुछ पेड़ नीचे गिर जाता है और उसको खेती करने वाला उधर ही छोड़ के चले जाते हैं. This Brahmana can go to field and collect those grains, and he can use those grains for his survival. Or he may collect food grains left here and there in the shops of grain dealers. So if the farmer, after cutting the paddy, after extracting the rice, he will take them to marketplaces and he will sell it off. So while selling it off in the marketplaces, some grains will spill over on the roadside here and there in the marketplace, and this Brahmana can go and collect them for his survival. They are the four means of survival. One is accepting charity, which comes on its own accord. One is going to the home of a grasta and begging for one survival. Third one is going and collecting the grains left over on the paddy field. The fourth one, collecting the grains left over in the marketplaces. Among these four, each of them in succession is better than the previous one. Because to do these four things, one need to give up one's shyness, modesty. First, if charity comes on its own without you begging, so उसमें क्या बड़ी बात है, आप आपका जगह पर है, वो मिल रहा है. But if for a person to go and stand in front of grocer's home and asking for charity, one need to give up one's modesty. That is better than receiving charity on its own. And better than that, going after paddy fields and collecting grains wherever they are fell. If you go for charity, somebody home, they may give you cooked item, cooked food only. Directly you can eat. But you have to go to paddy field and search for, you may not get it, you may not get it. Here one grain, there one grain, you have to search for it and bring home and take out rice and then cook. It requires lot of effort. And the fourth one, going to, at least going to paddy field, there is no one. You will be alone and you will be taking out. There is no shay involved there. You can do it happily. But doing in front of everyone in the marketplace, one really had to give up modesty. That is very, very, very tough thing. So that's why it is superior to the previous three things. So in that way, why he is doing? For only survival. अपने आप को सर्वाइव करने के लिए कर रहे हैं. So in that way, this verse describes alternative occupation for the Brahmana. There are various other occupations for the Brahmana. Shalina means receiving food without begging. Shalina. Yayavara means begging for 1 day's grain. Only उस दिन के लिए begging करना. And Siloncha, Sheela and Uncha. Sila means collecting leftover grains from the field. Unchanam means collecting grains which have fallen on the ground in the market and left there in the marketplaces. These are the 4 Vipravuttis, 4 duties for a Brahmana. The same 4 also mentioned in the 3rd canto. When in the creation pastime was going on, the Brahman from his 4 mouths, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi appear. So there it is mentioned. Varta, Sanchaya, Shalina, Siloncha, iti Vaigrihe. The 4 occupations of the householders are Varta, Sanchaya, Shalina and Siloncha. So these are the 4 duties of Grahastha. Grahastha Brahmana we can say. They arose from Brahma's 4 mouths. Varta refers to the occupation not forbidden such as agriculture. So they can do agriculture also. Here Varta is agriculture. So Brahmanas can take up agriculture also. Sanchaya means performing sacrifices. Yes, I mean they can do sacrifice for the sake of others and get remuneration. Shalina means taking alms without begging. Siloncha means taking the fallen grains in the field. So in that way. So these are the duties which are prescribed for a Brahmana Grahastha. They can do all these things. It's like that. Then it further continues. See now, see all these things we may see. Why is so much required? That's why today we don't see these things. अभी इतना क्यों करने का? Because even temple worship, teaching Vedas and all, they are not giving them enough remuneration sufficient for them to survive. That's why all the Brahmana community and all, they are sending their children to West. They are sending them to schools, IITs and West eventually to earn a good amount of wealth, because other people are earning a lot and these people are becoming poor and poor compared to others. So that's why today we don't see a Brahmana following these things. But the problem is, why the Brahmana had to follow all these things? Like painfully coming to the marketplace while everyone seeing, collecting the grains on the roadside and then surviving. The reason is, this is part of their tapasya. They follow this much tapasya. As a result of that, they'll go back home back to Godhead. But studying big degrees and earning lot of money does not yield. Even a person maybe from Brahmana family or from some other family, aristocratic family, that does not yield one back home back to Godhead. But this can yield one to go back home back to Godhead. That can provide one a lot of luxury, a lot of money and luxurious lifestyle. But this lifestyle may be very, very austere. But this can send one back home back to Godhead. That is the purpose. That's why today all these things seems to be very impractical. But all those who follow all these things definitely will go back home back to Godhead. So in that way, Bhagavatam talks about all these things. Because one has to give up the shyness, modesty, and everything to do all these things. If one has given up shyness, means one will go back to Godhead. Definitely. Giving up shyness means giving up pride also, giving up ahankar. So that is the understanding. Oh, okay. Let us see what next Narada Muni says. Jaganyonottamam vrittim
Gaganyonottamam vrittim
anapadi bhajennaraha
अनापदि भजे नरा
ऋते राजन्यम् आपस्तु
ऋते राजन्यम् आपस्तु
सर्वेषामपि सर्वशः
सर्वेषाम् अपि सर्वशः. Except in a time of emergency, lower persons should not accept the occupational duties of those who are higher. When there is such an emergency, of course, everyone but the Kshatriya may accept the means of livelihood of others.
See, for livelihood, generally a Brahmana should do Brahmanical activities like deity worship, performance of yajna, teaching Vedas, and accepting charity for their livelihood. But in the case of emergency, they may do agriculture. Huh? Like in the previous verse, it is said, na? They may do agriculture, like agriculture, and they may do cow protection, trading, and all the duties of the lower people. Even sometimes they may do the duties of Kshatriya also in emergency. Sometimes, generally not. Like Dronacharya, he became teacher. He was teaching. That is fine. Eventually, he took up the kingdom also. He was doing the duty of a Kshatriya. He fought in the battle also. Generally, one should not do, but in emergency, one will do because of circumstances. So that is there. But that means a Brahmana can do the occupation of a Kshatriya and Vaishya. But a Kshatriya should not do the occupation of Brahmana. A Vaishya should not do the occupation of Brahmana and Kshatriya. The lower person should not do the occupation of the higher orders. That is regulation. Except in a time of emergency, the lower person should not accept the occupational duties of those who are higher. In emergency, they may take up, but generally they should not take up. When there is such an emergency, everyone but the Kshatriya may accept any of the other occupations. In emergency, Brahmanas can do the occupation of Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra also, not Shudra, but Kshatriya, Vaishya. A Vaishya can do the occupation of Kshatriya and Brahmana also, but a Kshatriya should not do others' occupations. Matlab, Kshatriya should not accept remuneration, Kshatriya should not accept charity. A Kshatriya should never work under somebody. That is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya somehow or other should rule only. That's why when Lord Krishna goes as a Shantiduta, he says, at least give 5 villages. Because Pandavas are trained as Kshatriyas, they are not supposed to be beg. They should not be living by begging. They should not be wandering in the forest from one forest to other forest. They should have something where they can exercise their training. Because they are trained as Kshatriyas, they should rule over at least 5 villages. The 5 Pandavas live their life peacefully just by taking care of 5 villages. Because they cannot take up others' occupation, even in emergency also. That is the condition for Kshatriyas. This verse describes emergency situation. Those lower should not accept higher professions like teaching. The Kshatriya can also take other occupations except receiving charity. In general, they should not take higher occupation. In emergency, they can take up higher occupation. Like a Kshatriya in emergency can teach, can perform yajna, but should not take charity. That one thing is very much strong for Kshatriyas. They should never ever take charity in general or even emergency also. So like that. In emergency, they can do Brahmanical duties, they can do Vaishya duties, but they should not take charity for Kshatriyas. So like that. Ratamrutabhyam jiveta
वृताभ्याम जीवेत
mrutena pramrutena va
मृतेन प्रमृतेन वा
satyanrutabhyam apiva
सत्यान्ताभ्यामपि वा
नश्ववृत्ताय कदाचन नश्ववृत्त्या कदाचन.
नश्ववृत्त्या कदाचन.
Yeah, read translation, Prabhuji.
प्रभु जी, 3 verses are together. So, okay, I'll
Okay,
start.
okay. Okay, like that, no problem. We'll do the 3 verses. Ritam unchashilam proktam
Rutham unchashilam proktam
amrutam yad ayachitam
amrutam yad ayachitam
mrutam tu nityayancha syat
mrutam tu nityan yajnan syat
pramrutam karshanam smrutam
pramrutam karshanam smritam
satyanritam cha vanijyam
satyandrutam cha vanijyam
shvavrittirni cha sevanam
pravritteni cha sevanam
varjayetam sada vipro
varjayetam sada vipro
rajanyascha jugupsitam
rajanyascha jugupsitam
सर्ववेदमयो विप्र
sarvavedamayo vipra
सर्वदेवमयो नृप
sarvadevamayo nrupa. In time of emergency, one may accept any of the various types of professions known as Ruta, Amruta, Mruta, Pramruta, and Satyanruta. But one should not at any time accept the profession of a dog. The profession of Unchashila, collecting grains from the field, is called Ruta. Collecting without begging is called Amruta. Begging grains is called Mrita. Tilling the ground is called Pramrita, and trade is called Satyanrata. Engaging in the service of low grade persons, however, is called Swavritti. The profession of the dogs, the profession of the dogs, specifically Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, should not engage in the low and abominable services of Shudras. Brahmanas should be well acquainted with all the Vedic knowledge, and Kshatriyas should be well acquainted with the worship of demigods.
Now he says that the emergency duties in detail he tells in the next 3 verses. In time of emergency, one may accept any of the various types of professions known as Rita, Amruta, Mruta, Pramruta, and Satyavrata. They are the 5 duties in emergency the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya can do. But one should not at any time accept the profession of a dog. The profession of a dog should not be accepted. What is the profession of a dog? Whatever is given, eat it. The dogs are given the leftover food, street dogs. So that should not be accepted by any of these 3, even in emergency. It's like that. That is the understanding. The occupations of the Brahmanas and the Vaishyas are permitted for all during emergency. In emergency time, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, 3 of them can do Brahmanical duties and Vaishya duties. This verse is explaining in the following verses. The meaning of these 5 things, Rita, Amruta, Mruta, Pramruta, Satyavrata, are explained in the next verses. The profession of Unchashila, collecting grains from the field, is called Rita. Rita means maintaining oneself by collecting grains from the field, leftover grains from the field. Collecting without begging is called Amruta. So collecting grains without begging is called Amruta. Begging grains is called Mruta. If you go to somebody's home and ask Bhavati Bhikshandehi, that is called Amruta. Tilling the ground is called Pramruta. Agriculture is called Pramruta. And trade is called Satyanrata. Trade means Vanijyam and cow protection. That is called Satyanrata. Engaging in the service of the low grade persons, however, is called Shvavritti, the profession of the dogs. The meaning of Shvavritti is engaging in the service of lower grade persons. That means serving a Shudra is called Shvavritti. Serving a Shudra for the remuneration for the daily maintenance is called Shvavritti. Especially a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya who want to go back home back to Godhead, even in emergency, should not do Shvavritti. Then what to speak of normal? It's like that. Brahmanas and Kshatriyas should not engage in service to those lower, since the Brahmanas are the personification of the Vedic knowledge. Brahmanas are called as Vedamaya, Sarva Vedamaya. Brahmanas are the personified of Vedas. So how can they engage in service of Shudras who has no qualification to follow the Vedas and read and study and follow the Vedas? How can Vedas come under the service of non-Vedas person? Something like that. And Kshatriyas are called as Sarva Devamaya. And Kshatriyas are like the Devatas. So how can the Devatas become the subservient of ordinary human beings, the Shudras and others? So they should not, even emergency, they should not serve the Shudras. They should not accept the leftover food given by them, even emergency also. So like that. The reason that the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas should not take service from those who are lower is that the Brahmana is equivalent to the Vedas and Kshatriya is equivalent to the Devatas. They should never ever serve others for their daily maintenance as Ashwa. However, for Vaishyas and Shudras to take employment from those lower than themselves is not so faulty. A Vaishya and Shudra can take employment from those lower than themselves is not a faulty. But for a Brahman and Kshatriya, it is not recommended. So like that. So in this way, the principal duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Ijja, Adhyayana and Dana are described. And the duties for survival are Ijja, Dhana and Adhyayana. That means performing yajna or deity worship as a priest, as a purohit, as a priest, purohit, as a deity worshipper, pujari can be done. And also teaching the Vedas and also accepting charity. Not for Kshatriyas, but Brahmanas and Vaishyas, they can accept charity. At least Brahmanas can accept charity. So they are for survival. In addition to that, other acceptable duties are agriculture, trading, collecting grains from the field, collecting grains from the marketplaces, and also begging and taking which comes without begging. So like that, all these things. But even in emergency, they can take up the occupation of others, but not. Kshatriyas should not accept charity. And also Brahmana Kshatriya should never become Shvavrutas, serving people who are lower than them. But Vaishya and Shudra can take up service to lower the people only in emergency, but not in general. So in this way, the important duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, who are known as Dvija, who are dedicated their life to go back to Godhead. So what kind of duty they should do? All these things are mentioned. Then Shudras, they should serve a bona fide master who is on the path back to Godhead by service attitude. By their service attitude, they will also go back to Godhead. So like that, all these duties are mentioned. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Ah,
Prabhu, this emergency duties, whatever you are describing this, so when this person having some emergency, then they are they are taking the occupation of different varna also. But when the emergency is over, then you have to return back to their original.
Yes. When emergency is over, they should return back to their authorized duty.
But in the case of Dronacharya, he has not returned back. Yes.
In the case of Dronacharya, he has not returned back. He was ruling the kingdom. That's why he was killed in the Mahabharata battle.
Achha.
Even though he was Guru, but he was killed.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, Prabhu.
Because normally a Brahmana is not supposed to be killed. but because he has accepted the occupation of lower people, he was killed in the battle.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hmm. Other devotees, any questions?
No.
Okay. So no problem. Request all of you please read through all these verses, because normally many times we hear about Varnasrama, this, that, and all. Here there is a discussion of Varnasrama in a proper way, very structured way, very systematically everything has been described. Of course, details are not so much in essence, in principle. The important aspects of these Varnas and Ashramas are presented here, so that we can have a proper understanding of what Varnasrama is all about, and why Varnasrama should be followed, and how it should be followed, etc. etc. We'll understand. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here, and we'll continue next week from verse number 21 onwards. Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की